Chris, guess
Brittany.
what? Guess what?
What?
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so proud of our problem-solving skills.
It only took... Actually, it didn't take that long, really, in the grand scheme of things. At one point, I thought we were going to throw a laptop or both laptops, or honestly, just trash it all. Like,
we're done.
Just done. Can't
no
handle
announcement.
This. Can't handle this. Like, what happened to Chris and Brittany? Well, they both had mental breakdowns and just decided...
Couldn't handle the pressure, slammed a laptop shut, stormed out crying.
Oof. Ouch. Yikes. Burn. That's a zinger. Do you say that? Do the kids say that? Zinger?
Zinger.
What do the kids say these days? Well, I should probably know that.
You're the kid in the room.
I'm because I'm young and beautiful.
Welcome to Dysfunctionally Yours, the podcast where we embrace the chaos, laugh through the struggles, and find hope on the other side of trauma. I'm your host, Brittany, and if you've ever felt like your life was a beautifully messy roller coaster of dysfunction, trust me, you're in good company. Here, we'll have real, raw, and sometimes ridiculous conversations about mental health, relationships, and healing, because let's be honest, life isn't always pretty, but that doesn't mean we can't come out of it stronger and maybe even smiling. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of bubbles, and let's navigate this wild journey together, dysfunctionally, but never alone.
That popped into my head that I sent you that video today of the what the fuck was that video I sent you today?
I know. I'm like, what?
And I was like,
I watched a video you sent me. What?
Yeah, and I was
the pregnant.
The pregnant OnlyFans girl.
Yeah, having a golden shower,
turning her baby shower into a golden shower.
I saw one of the top comments was someone needs to call social services.
100%. 100%. And I guess
she like taking shots or something too at a club?
I don't know what she was doing, but I do know she's inviting all of these strange men to come like give her golden showers at her baby shower and have intercourse with her. And this is one of her things. This is her big OF thing. Like, she's very gimmicky and does all of these big, like, what do they call, like, not pranks, but like events, the things that she does. And so she had sex with 1,000 men in a day, which is wild all by itself.
That's exhausting.
I thought the same thing. I was like, my body.
No.
Please no. But also, ew. And also now she wants, like, she's pregnant and she wants to expose this baby to like a golden shower party. Like, I'm not here to like ick your kink type thing, but like,
I think when it starts in, God, I don't want to get into that whole, I was going to say when it involves a child, but I don't want to open up that can of worms because
I already see where that could go.
Yep. We're just going to put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
Or just pop it.
But also, so I was like, absolutely not. I'm done with the internet today, right? Usually I'm over here to be like, I love the internet. The internet is my favorite place. It makes me so happy as I doom scroll for literally 6 hours.
Did you like the video I sent of Benito?
I watched a lot of AI Fruit this morning.
It's the one where the grandma banana got slapped and her glasses went sideways in the kitchen.
Right. Like, why are we slapping grandma all because she's calling a spade a spade? Like, my man, your wife is a trollop and don't slap your grandmother. And then, but like, I did appreciate that they were just like holding the baby and dreads popped out of his head.
It was like Play-Doh.
Just sitting there and they were like, whoop. It actually was hilarious.
Oh my God, I cannot.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Benito had some questions after that, apparently.
Well, right. Like, and why? Like, the one I sent you, I don't know, probably yesterday or something, but where he kept saying, like, Cap, cuh.
Yeah.
Okay, cuh, I love you. And I'm like, stop. This is like, not.
Have you noticed
enough.
that, like, if they have, like, jewelry or necklaces, it always has 6, 7?
It does say 6, 7 on there. I noticed that.
6, 7. Let's go.
So anyways, the internet, yeah, no, but I saw that about what's her name? Bonnie Blue is her stage name. And I was like, this can't be real. And then whenever I deep dove it, it was real. And I was mortified about what I learned. And I was like, I'm done with the internet. We're done today. And that was at 6 a.m. So
Started off hot.
we're going to hope that my phone
God.
resets itself and I can go back and doom scroll again later. But that was enough for me today.
Well, hopefully you get some more AI fruits. I think I help your algorithm a little bit.
For sure. What is your ache and relief of the week? I'm excited. I want to get to our big topic, but I want to know your ache and relief of the week.
My ache of the week. Well, it's this, honestly, I want to say it's the sunburn, but that's so pathetic.
But also it gives you so much color in this lighting. And I'm like, look, he's
great.
not
Like
Casper anymore.
yeah, my face is all burned to hell. We love that. No, we're going to start with my ache of the week because I want to end on a positive note. My ache of the week. So yesterday I attended a celebration of life event for a friend's mom who unfortunately passed.
Needed her life to be celebrated.
Yeah, well, and they did, and that was her wish too. That was she didn't want like a funeral. She didn't want people like to be sad. Like she was like, I want my kids and my friend and my kids' friends and family and everyone to just like, celebrate me and remember the good times and all of that. And so like they had a slideshow playing and I had met my friend's mom a couple of times and she was a very, very sweet and just loving person. And one thing that, and I don't talk about this a lot because it makes me just extremely uncomfortable, is the topic of death. I fear for my own death and my own mortality or lack thereof, whatever the correct phrasing is there. So even though it was a celebration of life, Ryan kind of pointed out like, huh, we're having the celebration of life and then life's gonna go on, and then that's it. Like, we just stop.
Womp womp.
Yeah, and then it got me and it ju and I don't know, like, shame on him for even saying that to me because he knows my fear around death. Like, honestly, that's kind of why, like, I have this big issue with, like, turning 30. Like, I just turned 29, but I'm like, I feel like my life is just slipping away almost. Like, and I know that sounds so dramatic because I'm still so young, and I know I have so many years ahead of me, but it just the thought of me just, like, closing my eyes and never waking up again, like, you can't tell me that I lived this life just for it to end with nothing. It feels so uncomfortable. It makes me sad. It makes me just feel all kinds of uncomfortable things. So yeah, I mean, I think that's my ache of the week is just kind of dealing with that situation and having that kind of realization of, yeah, that's eventually gonna be me, that's eventually gonna be Ryan. I just have a really hard time with that. Like, it actually even talking about it, I feel sick to my stomach.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's my ache of the week.
That's heavy.
My relief of the week. What is my relief of the week? I feel like I don't really, and not that I don't have one. I guess my relief of the week is I mentioned a couple of videos ago that we were planning a trip to Scotland
Right.
and we bought the tickets.
Woo!
I'm pumped. I'm so excited. We're planning out we're gonna have 10 full days. I'm taking a full 2 weeks off of work in October, and I have a conference that first week. So really, I'm only gonna do like a week's worth of solid work in October, which
Aw, shucks.
I know. Dang it, dang it. But no, I'm excited. I think I've been really pushing myself to travel more. I really enjoyed Ireland. I really enjoyed London. I'm so stoked to go to Scotland and my ancestry DNA. I don't know, like, obviously how accurate all of that stuff is, but when I did that, like, it came back. I'm 31% Scottish, and then like another 30% like Irish or English. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like I told Ryan, it's like, oh, I get to take you home.
To the
Like it's
motherland.
the motherland. So yeah, it's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be beautiful. We're going in October to see peak fall colors. We're gonna do lots of walking. There's this mashed potato restaurant where you can order like a type of protein, like, and I saw like lamb and like a beef shoulder, and you choose your type of mash. So there's like a macaroni mash, there's like a garlic butter mash. Like it looks so good, and that is definitely on the list. So I'm so excited, even just planning it out and talking about it, because I will talk about it with anyone who even asks, even like, "Oh, are you doing any travel plan?" Well, I'm glad you asked.
Thank you for
I am.
asking.
Actually, I
Actually,
am.
I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go eat mashed potatoes now that you asked.
Literally.
Right. No, that's exciting. I'm glad you got those tickets and you have something to look forward to in the fall, right? Like that'll be a nice little reward, a nice little break.
Sure.
I dream of the day that I get to like that I'm in a spot to take time off to travel. I feel like right now, so much of my time off that I take is self-preservation around, my brother's birthday, holidays,
Just
and
trying to survive.
yeah, and his anniversary. And so the day will come that that's not necessarily how that needs to be. And it will come sooner rather than later. I know, but it's, because I listen to people say, like, I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to take a trip. The time I take off is over 4th of July weekend. And what an awful time to travel. Just awful.
Terrible. Absolutely not. You don't want to go anywhere.
No. And so, like, that's not it. And Christmas is also like holidays are such a weird, wonky time for me anyway, just in general. So it's not like I'm like, oh, let me take a big trip.
Well, and I think everyone like, oh, let's take a long weekend over the holiday. But honestly, I found that like doing something like in the off months, kind of
Yes.
like
Yes.
October,
Yes.
like no one is doing a lot of travel in October except for all of my Halloween folk out there, which I see you, I love you, and it's almost our time.
Yeah. So, but that's exciting. And I'm sure I will hear about it.
I'll send you
Plenty.
all the
Right. I was like, I'm
the
not going
time
to.
you're gonna be getting like videos and photos and all the things at like obnoxious times because the time difference is gonna be insane.
Right. Good thing I don't sleep anyway.
Who needs
Who
sleep?
needs sleep? What is that?
What's your ache and relief?
My ache and relief of the week is probably, I'm going to go with like same, right? Where two things are true at the same time. I would say that my ache, and I've talked about it a little bit. Well, I've talked about it for a handful of weeks at this point, obviously not in detail, but like I just have a lot going on to where I'm having just a hard time in life. And life is so hard and continues to be so. And I think I have spent some time thinking about it and talking to my therapist about it. And I think that it is time that I enlist some help.
We got to call in backup.
We're going to call in some backup and look into some depression medication again. And I have not been on depression meds for 20 years.
Sure, there's a lot of like mixed feelings around that, but also like I don't think there's any sort of like shame
No.
or anything like that that should come out of that.
No. And I think that's where like it's my ache and relief. It's like that it's just gotten to this point where it is so heavy and so hard to navigate that like it's like this is where it's time to call in some pretty heavy backup. But also I think the relief in that is that I self-aware enough. I have support systems around me, right? I have my friends, I have my therapist, I have my family and things like that to where it's been like, okay, this isn't cutting it. This isn't just like, oh, this will pass. This will pass. This will pass. But it isn't just like, oh, this will pass in a couple hours. It's something that's just like bigger and more ongoing and realizing that, like, yes, even with the amount of supports that I have right now, like, I am having a hard time, and I hate that. I'm fortunate enough to be self-aware that I know that I need a little bit of backup. I am fortunate to have insurance in America that's going to allow me to have said backup, so I think there's my relief in it, and it's not the same type of relief as, like, I get a vacation, and also it's still very much a relief
Well,
that, like, this is
you're doing what you need to do
Yeah.
to support yourself, and I think, like I think so many of us just try to, for a lack of better words, like, raw dog life,
Yeah.
and, quite honestly, like, I think we should be tired of raw dogging. I think
Yeah,
if
I think
you
that's where I
do
am. I'm
if
tired.
yeah,
I'm real
like,
tired.
if you need therapy, if you need the support, if you need SSRIs and medications, like, it is what it is, and quite honestly, I think there are some people that our brains are wired and function so differently, especially chemically. And there are some of us that just may need that type of support indefinitely. And I think that's okay because I think people get so like, well, yeah, I'll do it for like a year and hopefully I won't need to do it like after that. But it's like, but but what's the like if it works for you and it's helping you like regulate or do whatever it is that that medication needs to do for you, keep taking it. Like, I know
Yeah.
some I know that can be a difficult topic for a lot of people, but I just think that we should embrace, like, taking what we need for a lack of better words.
100%, and like I said, like, I haven't taken any type of meds for 20-ish years or whatever, but it's like, I didn't have a problem then. I think my problem was that they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be on these forever," and I'm like, "Bet." Like, don't tell me what I'm gonna do, like, I will show you that I'm not. The difference in this is like, okay, I know I'm tired. I'm fucking tired, and I love that you said raw dog in life because I feel like that is how I navigate all the time, right? Like, you even we talked last week and you're like, "You're such a strong, independent woman, Brittany." Yes. Yes. My
But should you have to be all the
Well,
time?
and that's really kind of where we are, and, like, I remember a handful of, like, it comes up and I'll have people be like, "Oh, you were so strong through that. You're so strong through that." And I'm like, if one more person tells me I'm strong, I'm going to snap in half. I'm going to be on an episode of Snapped. Like, I'm gonna lose my mind. And it's like, is it a blessing that I'm as strong as I am? Yes, and also, I'm this strong because I've had to be this strong, and
I was
sometimes
just gonna say, are you strong because you have to be, because you
Right,
don't have the choice? Like,
right.
should you have been put in said situation where you had to be
Yeah,
strong? Like,
totally, totally, and so I know, like, we've had a lot going on, like, interfamilial lately, which will lead us sort of into our topic this week. But, my stepmom, bless her heart, she was just like, "I know you're gonna be okay, Brittany. You're so strong." And it was like she was being so supportive in this. And I just read these words and burst into tears. And I was like, here it is. This is it. I just burst into I just broke, like, I'm tired of being strong, and I think in that moment was this, like, "Oh, I might have something bigger going on than what I'm able to, like, to do
to
and
navigate.
to navigate," and so we're gonna go. We're gonna we're gonna enlist some supports, and yes, there's a lot of, like,
Yay!
big feelings around it, but also, like, no, I don't have any shame in that. If I had a headache, I would take an ibuprofen, right? If I had a cold, I would go take NyQuil to help me sleep. So, like, I have
Like, we're
learned
willing to do all these things when
Yes.
we're, like, quote, "physically sick," right? But when it comes to our brains, our mental health, it's like all of a sudden, "Oh god, no, like, no, no,
Right.
we don't want any of those SSRIs. You don't wanna get
Yeah.
hooked on" and it's like, no, like, some of us just need that, and that's okay, and it
Yeah.
needs to be what it is.
Well, and it's one of those, like, I don't know if it'll be forever. It wasn't last time. Like I said, it's been 20 years, and I've been through a lot in those 20 years. And, maybe I'll do this for 6 months or a year. Or, like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Or, maybe just life is a little bit easier and it feels a little bit less like raw dogging it and a little more like, it's fine. So we'll see. It's gonna be a new journey. I'm also a very different version of myself than I was 20 years ago. And I think that'll be a experience. So stay tuned.
To be determined.
TBD. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about I guess we've talked, God, words. I'm like, how do we just jump into it?
Incarceration.
Incarceration. Yeah, you mentioned several weeks ago, you were like, samey. Like,
just very casually.
It's very casual.
And I don't think you knew that either.
I really did not know that at all. And I was like, I shooketh right here. But I thought that it would really open to some interesting conversations, because I think when people hear that someone has an incarcerated family member, they have a lot of thoughts or opinions or judgments, misconceptions, and they really kind of wonder.
Or questions, like people just want to ask you what went on with that, like why, like how do you feel about it? And it's like, boy, and people wonder why you don't fucking share anything, but
that's why, right? And I think they get a lot of things wrong in those assumptions or misconceptions. So I thought it'd be kind of a interesting topic. And I also think the other side of that is very much that when people talk about it, they talk about the person that is incarcerated, right? They talk about the person going through that. I don't care.
It's like, what about me?
What about us? What about us over here? The family, the friends, the other people that are also now
impacted by all of this.
Yes. And impacted probably more than you're able or willing to talk about because of judgments and those misconceptions and all of the questions. It's like, I don't need you to, how about you don't ask me, what did they do? Why did that happen? How long? What about me?
Yeah. Like, how are you? Like, instead of like, well, how did they get it? What? Yeah. Like, what did they, I think what did they do is the biggest question that you get when you share even a tidbit of that information. And it's like, what if it would be nice if we could reframe that? Because like, if I want to share that, I would have, or I will,
for sure,
depending on how you're going to approach this. Right.
Yeah.
But I think like, approaching it from like, wow, that sounds like it could be really challenging. Is there anything that you want to talk about with that? Or is there anything you feel comfortable sharing, instead of immediately like, yeah, what did they do? Are they ever going to get out? When are they getting out? Like all of these things. And it's like, just reframe and be curious, but be curious in a way that like, you're not overstepping almost.
Yeah. It's like something that I don't think that people, right? Like if there's other topics that get brought up, right? If somebody is ill or like suicide, right? People will tiptoe around suicide because it makes them uncomfortable. People will tiptoe around if a family member was, died in some really unfortunate kind of way, or if there was cancer involved, or people tiptoe around so many things because they're like, oh, that's going to make the person talking about it uncomfortable, or I'm uncomfortable talking about it.
Yep.
I think when we start looking at incarcerated family members, all of that goes out the door, and people are not thinking, oh, I'm uncomfortable, because now we're suddenly in our own Lifetime movie. We're all of a sudden in our own, Law and Order episode that like we want information. We want all this stuff we crave in documentaries. We're like, oh, we know
wish
this
they
person.
Would stop renewing the seasons because I'm tired.
That's how I feel too. That's how I feel too. So you have those, but then you also have nobody's over here thinking like, oh, how's it really going to impact you if I ask you what happened? And it's like, what if I don't want to talk about that any more than I want to talk about this? I would much rather talk about one brother and his suicide than the other brother in this situation. I don't want to talk about this because of the amount of feelings that it brings up that I don't know how to process. I know how to process this other horrible situation.
And I think it ebbs and flows too, like, because, like, I know, like, I have different feelings now about the topic than,
In the
like
first place?
yeah, like,
What like
than originally,
yeah.
than, like, younger Chris.
What was it like for you whenever it first happened?
You know, s it it's interesting. So, my brother I'll just start with this. So, for me and my family dynamics, I have a brother, and he is incarcerated, and he became incarcerated when I was very young, and so I don't remember a ton, and quite honestly, I think that's because it was very purposely kept from me.
Sure.
My parents were like, I couldn't ask about him with them getting very distant, and, like, they would just shut it down because, like, I tried to understand because I would go and visit him, and I did that throughout my life, and no one ever wanted to talk about why he was in there, how long he was gonna be in there, and, like, for especially when I became a teenager, that became increasingly because, like, I'm starting to develop my own, like, I'm coming into my own, one would say, and I'm starting to develop my own thoughts, my own feelings, and I wanted to understand because no one ever explicitly talked to me about it, and anytime I would ask, it would just get shut down, and the subject would change, or, like, I think one time, like, my mom was like, "Talk to your dad about that," and then my dad would just be he would kinda say the same thing, like, "Talk to your mom about that," and I'm like, "Y'all are just." And that's one thing that I think is frustrating is the lack of transparency. I wish that my parents would have just been very open and honest and forthcoming because secrets just make everything worse, and I'm not here for that, especially not now in my life.
Sure.
So for me, so all of that to say, it was very confusing, honestly. Yeah, just super confusing and just trying to piece the puzzle together, and, I remember doing, like, school activities where we had to list out, like, like, "Who's in your family?" Or,
Yeah.
like, "Who," like, and it's like, well, how do I talk about or even mention that I have this other sibling who is incarcerated, and I don't even know why,
Right.
Like, it's very awkward, it's very confusing, and it is uncomfortable, and I look back and I think I purposely withheld information, and it's not something that I talked about a lot with people, like, the people that were probably closest to me knew, but that's as far as it went.
Yeah. I think for me, I guess my situation would be a little bit different because he's been in and out and in and out. Like we've been doing this for 14 plus years, but it's been like this constant, like a revolving door of sorts, whether it was prison or county or prison again or county or juvenile hall, right? Like whenever you're in detention as in school. So like we've been doing it for a very, very, very long time on this revolving door type of situation. And so I would say like the first go around was also probably the most severe, and that landed like, that was really scary, right? I was really comfortable with county, I was really comfortable with detention, like, those things were like, "Okay, like, it's gonna be fine." But pivoting to, like, a prison incarceration, did feel very
That's
different.
different.
It's different, it looks different, it feels different, the finality of it is very different, and so there was a lot more fear at that time, but there was also a lot more like rally round, hope. This is gonna be temporary. We're gonna
We're
move
gonna
on
beat
from
this,
this. We're gonna
like,
beat this. Yeah, there was a
it's gonna be fine, we're gonna be
yes,
back and better than ever, actually.
abso absolutely. And so there was a lot of that was going on. I think as far as like the family unit, obviously, I've talked now for a year and a half about how dysfunctional my family is and how disjointed the family is. And I think there were moments in time where you would watch sections of it band together to be very supportive and support together. But then there would be moments where you'd see it just like divide even further and further and further apart. You also see a lot, you learn a lot about people when you got a kiddo chilling in prison.
For sure.
I would say I don't believe the rattlesnake was overly supportive, right? Like, didn't do a lot of phone calls, didn't do a lot of letters, did no commissary, did no nothing. And then there were others of us that wrote letters every
Wrote
day.
letters.
Lots of commissary money. And those sardines are expensive.
Oh yeah, I remember like my parent and both of my parents were very much heavily involved, and I think they sent him money so he could get like a TV or something at one
I bought
point.
my brother's TV.
Yeah, they would do phone calls. Like I remember I wrote letters to him because I visited him, but I think as I got older it started to become maybe a bit less frequent, and truly because like and I have my own feelings about this, but like I was building my own life. Like
Yeah.
I got into high school. I started taking college classes when I was in high school. Like I was a
He's
straight,
smart.
I was, yeah, like well, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I was like I was in the National Honor Society. I
Yeah.
was in track. I was applying for scholarships. Had ambitions to go to get my bachelor's degree and all these things. And I think that this is one of the sad parts I think about incarceration is that while their life stays the same
Yeah.
in there, our lives on the outside continue to change and like life goes on. And I think there was a point where I, I don't necessarily blame myself for this because there are times where I wonder, like, should I have wrote more letters? Should I have visited more? Should I have done more to maintain that sibling relationship? And I don't want to fault myself for that because at the end of the day, like, I have to take care of me. And unfortunately, because of my relationship with my own parents,
Yeah.
I had to take care of myself a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just a mixed bag of all kinds of different thoughts and feelings and all the things.
Yeah. For sure. I can see that, right? Like I for a lot of it was out of state, but I was out of state with my own kids. Mind you, my own kids are only a couple years younger than my brothers. And so there was a lot of trying to like be the supportive sister in this situation and also be a protective mother in this situation, but also not hide it as the mother, right? So I'm stuck in this like really kind of bizarre role of being, supportive and protective and also transparent because these kids have to know what's going on and why it's okay and why we're still going to be supportive and why we're still going to show up. And there was a lot of that I feel like was going on. I know the first go around, I was much, much more tight-lipped about what happened and what was going on, and I let very few people know, and I think because I carried that burden, a lot of additional stress came out of that. I also really had to process a lot in therapy about it because there was nothing I could do about it, and as a fixer and somebody who wants to be able to have control of a situation, as somebody who wanted to be able to problem solve, when you
Just want to
realize
wave our magic wand and make it all better.
all the time. And so when you realize you don't have enough money to solve all the problems in the whole wide world, and you can't change this, and you can't be there, and you can't protect them, and you can't make time go by faster. And the only thing you can do is write a fucking letter. send some sardines and Tabasco packets. Like, that's all that you can do.
The
And
sardines.
my brother fell in love with mackerel. Like, I'd be like, "What do you need?" And he's like, "More mackerel." Gross. So, really being able to process those situations were I was difficult. It was difficult learning to accept the things you cannot change, right? Like, there's not a better situation in life than putting a sibling in prison and realizing, like, you need to accept the things you cannot change and then do what you can to make that situation better, change it, whatever that looks like, right? Because you can't get them out. And that was really, really hard for me to even have to learn how to start processing that. I wasn't sleeping. I was very short fused. I wanted people to be patient and understanding with me, but I also wasn't willing to give them the information that they might need to be able to be patient and understanding with me, which probably caused a lot of problems. I remember, like, my ex, because my brother would call me and it was always at like 11 p.m. or something, weird hours of the night. And so,
Something really off.
and it would come through as this sort of like unknown number, and I'd have to take it. I'd rush off to take the call, come back usually pretty upset. And so really trying to even navigate that in a relationship and be like, please just understand and accept this, but I'm not giving you any information about this, which, think about it. If you're dating somebody, they're taking late night calls, they're running out of the room to do it, and they're coming back upset every day.
That doesn't look suspicious at all. It's interesting though that you bring up the relationship aspect of this, because it's something that I'm kind of currently navigating. So this topic is actually very relevant to my current personal life, because
Same.
So both of my parents are now they're deceased. They're dead now. And to be quite honest, like I think it's no secret that my dad died when I was 16. And so that left my mom and I, right? And we had a complicated relationship, to put it lightly. And I sometimes wonder, because she continued to see him after I lost my dad, and because our relationship became so, I don't want to say volatile, but it wasn't great, right? And so I think my mom, like, I don't know what she told my brother. I don't know how she described things. I don't know, like, part of me believes that she probably told him that I never wanted to see him again, and, like, all of these things that likely weren't true. But anyway, besides the point, I don't know if any of that's true or not. But so my brother doesn't really have anyone, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm I'm it. I'm I'm all that's really left. Like, mom and dad aren't here anymore. And to be quite honest, I haven't seen him probably since I was 18,
Yeah.
29. And I actually had, there were some family friends that had reached out to me and had said, like, your brother would really like to see you. And I I'm really struggling with that, because there's part of me that I think I feel some sort of guilt for not reaching out and not maintaining that relationship, because what I tend to do in hard situations, I avoid. I'll run. I'm like, "No, no, I don't have a brother,
Right.
actually." Like, Who?" Like,
Right.
never heard of him. When in my head, like, I just block it out. But now I'm in a position where I'm being kind of faced with that, and I kinda have to decide, like, how do I wanna approach this? And, you know, I recently connected with my sister, and I think we both talked, like, I think we both may try to do this as a sibling thing together, so it's not as daunting,
Yeah.
but it's just hard because my Ryan is like, "I support whatever it is you wanna do," and all of this, but it's just it's hard, and to be honest, I have continued to avoid it, like, it was probably a year ago when I got this news that my brother wanted to see me, and I still haven't acted because I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something I'm choosing to do nothing,
Yeah.
whether I realize that or not. But it's been kind of eating at me lately, and I think it's because I'm self-aware enough to know this is not going to go away. This
Right.
is something that you have to face, deal with, process in a way, whatever it is that I need, because
Right.
I think at this
'Cause
point,
it is
like,
about what you need. Because it is about what you need, and I think that that is truly something that gets lost in this process, and I will say, like, super supportive the first go around, the second go around, the third I've been super supportive. I've sent money, I've done all kinds of things. The family has done all kinds of things. People have done all kinds of things. This most recent go around, like, I can't.
tapped out.
I'm tapped out. You're not changing, you're not getting better, it's continuing to eat at me. I said the first time I stopped sleeping back in the first time, and I haven't slept since. It messed up my sleep then, and it has continued to, maybe not over that, but that just opened a door to, like, crappy fucking sleep, and people are like, "Well, you could do more. You don't want them to lose everything. Like, they need your support. They need this, they need that." And I think I really held very tight to that for a
But
long
just because
time.
they're family doesn't mean you have to solve all of your siblings' issues, right? Like, and I think that's something that I'm trying to be, I guess, mindful of. Like, I
Yeah.
think I can be a supportive sibling without also what's the wording I'm looking for? Without also giving every little bit of myself to
Yeah.
that. And like, I think it has to be a balance of like protecting your own peace,
Yep.
because at the end of the day, like, people made decisions and they ended up in these positions. Likely, I don't wanna say it's the same for everyone because I know there are discrepancies in our
Yeah.
justice system, but likely there was something that happened, they made a choice, it was a
Right.
poor choice, and now here they are, and it's
Right.
like, now Chris and Brittany are left to pick up the pieces, and it's like, I it it why? What I didn't ask for that.
Right. And I think that that is something that gets brought up, right? Like the first time or whenever you're early on looking at it, you are like, "Oh, I want to be supportive. I want to be understanding. I want to be there. I want to be present. I want you to know you're not alone. I want to, you to know that I love you." And then as time goes by and you realize the toll that it takes on you to be able to show up that way, like you've lost something too. There is an unspoken grief for somebody that's still very much alive. And it is very hard to grieve somebody who's very much still alive whenever you're like, oh, maybe they'll get out and be better. And then they don't get out and get better, or time continues to go by and you're further and further and further removed because so much time has gone by. Like you said, you're over here trying to build a life. You were a little kid
Well,
trying to build a life.
and it's like, sometimes I think we always think about like what could have been. And I think we can get trapped in that mindset. But I think in
Yeah.
my situation, like my brother and I have a very big age gap. Like, there's one family photo that I remember of him with me, and he was on like a riding lawnmower. And I was like maybe two
Yeah.
years old, just in a diaper, just sitting on his lap. And like, sometimes I wish I'm like, what would that have been like to
Hmm.
have that relation, that sibling, that brother relationship, even with the age difference? Like, I think it would have looked different than what it is, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I would just wonder, like, what would it have been like to have a cool older brother, like someone else that could have
Yeah.
supported me when things were getting crazy with our
Yeah.
mom because I mean, he has his own issues with our mom,
Sure.
and I think he understands, and to this day, I do believe he understands how challenging it was to just be under the same roof as her, and
Yes.
I can't help but wondering if my life would have looked a little bit different if I just would have had that relationship.
It's interesting that you say that because, right, I am the older sibling in this situation of a substantial age gap.
That's wild, the
Yeah,
parallels.
right.
That's so interesting.
And I did leave home whenever my brothers were like 2 and 5 and didn't really know them for a long, long, long time because they were like little kids and I had my own little kids. And so I was just like the really lame adult that was also attached to like, they saw me sort of like same as the rattlesnake, not as like the cool older sister. It wasn't until they got much, much older that they were able to be like, "Oh, I could have this cool relationship with my sister." And it actually wasn't until he went to prison the first time that we really were able to build this very, very, very cool relationship, really get to know each other. He became my best friend while he was incarcerated, while he was in prison. Like he knew everything about me, everything that went on in the whole wide world. It was like that's what I wrote a letter about. He was like a live journal, so to speak, and vice versa. And it was really interesting to receive letters from him because while we were raised in different timelines by the same person, and on the outside, it might have looked different, right? I was raised by an alcoholic, cocaine addict. I went to foster care. There was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of that. That was not the outside image that was going on with my brothers. There wasn't an alcohol problem. There wasn't an addiction problem in the house, but it was very much still the same person doing the same emotional, mental, psychological abuse with probably less physical abuse, but there was still a definite physical aspect to what was going on there. And so him telling me these things, I'm like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." And yeah, she's always been that way. This is how she's always been. She did the same thing. And I was able to correct.
It's almost like they normalize it because they think this is what this is what all parents do. This is how all parents act. Like to them, it probably really did appear as if like, oh, this is just mom being mom,
It's
when
just
in
mom being
reality,
mom.
it was mom heavily under the influence and still being the same volatile
She's just
person
the
that she's
same
always been.
person that she's always been. And so I think there was a little bit of like bonding there to realize, but he also let me know how angry he had been at me for years and years and years because I left him, because I abandoned him, that I left that house and just left him there. And I was like, I had to leave. I had my own children. I had to have my own life. And he's like, you knew how she was and you left us. And so there was a lot of that
Ugh.
anger and really big feelings. And me as the older sister, I had no idea because I thought she was different. I thought they were getting a different life than I had. And it was different,
Just more of the same.
but it was a lot of the same. And so I think that was this like aha moment for all of us siblings and also very unfortunate. But then we were close for a long time. But then he just keeps on with this cycle and the cycle. And at some point, I can't keep doing it. I can't save you from yourself. And then I think, losing Chase, we all lost Chase. We all lost Chase. And we ended up with a choice there. And you can either rise above that, you can move forward and do better, or you can just fall victim to that. But like, I don't believe that the world happens to us. I believe that we have control over all of our own outcomes and we just need to do the right things. And so whenever people start to fall into that very victim mentality, like, my world, this is just happening to me and you're not doing anything better, and you end up behind bars again, this is destroying my family. I'm watching what it does to my father and his feelings, and like, it's
Well, I'm sure
hard.
there's a certain level of, like, especially from a parent perspective, of what did I do wrong?
Sure.
Like, did I not say I love you enough? Did I
Right.
not hug you enough? Was I too harsh? Was I too restrictive? Like, what
Right.
did I do as the parent? And I think it's twofold, because I do, to some extent, I do believe that, well, and I think, science and research will tell us that we are a product of our environment. And when you are in an environment that's not safe, that, is perpetuated by a cycle of consistent substance misuse, domestic violence, physical abuse.
Right.
I mean, while I don't think I experience physical abuse to, like, the extent that you're talking about, I do vividly remember. Do you remember, like, these old wooden rocking horses?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom threw one at me, and it missed, thankfully, but it completely broke it. And I'm like, yeah, so statistically, it's amazing that I am in the position where I'm in, right? Because, like, and that's just one example, and
Yeah.
there are many, 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 many more. But we are a product of our environment, and on the other hand, we also choose how to respond to that. And I think
100%.
I think some of us, turn to alcohol, drinking. We have all these repressed feelings of anger and all these things. For me, I really think I threw myself into school. I
Right.
threw myself into academics. I told myself, I am going to get out of this fucked up cycle of family dynamics, and I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to be great with or without these people in my life.
And I think I've also taken that route over other things too, right? Like, I was able to I had kids and I had to throw myself into my own kids, because it was very much like, I will never do to my children what have been done to me. My children will never feel the way about their family that I feel about mine. And doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes, doesn't mean I was a perfect parent, doesn't mean things didn't happen, but it sure as hell means we are not in the same situation that I was. They're just going to have new things that they have to deal with and overcome, and that's life. Like, that's okay. But I
Life is
think
always going to have its challenges regardless.
right, but I think having to, like, navigate the world with these, like, and overcome grief of people that are still very much here when others don't fully understand that. They don't understand, like, the burden of that. They don't understand how hard it is to really be able to, like, you can still love somebody and really be like, I can't have anything to do with this. I love my brother. I can't have anything to do with this. And every time I get sucked back into it, it sends me into a spiral, because it's far too close to home, and it brings up way too many feelings of, like, anger and resentment and feelings of frustration, and that overall lack of control of things. And I'm like, I can't do that. And I also will never be the one that enables you so that you can continue to think that this is okay, that you know how much prison commissary is? It's insane. Like, I could feed a family of 4 off of what you would spend on 1 week in the commissary. I could feed a family of 4 for a month. Like, it's so expensive. The phone calls are so expensive. To hear that and to constantly, that is somebody's trauma every day, right? I know when I went to see my brother in prison, most one of the top 3 most traumatic experiences in my entire life were going through razor wire and doors and gates with big metal bolts.
No one, yeah, it's like
going inside to willingly walk inside of a prison that is built to make sure people can't escape is actually so traumatic.
It's a little
It's
it's
terrifying.
terrifying because, like,
And then you're sitting in there with really bad people.
Well, and they have you taking, like, you gotta leave your phone and your wallet and all of these things and put them in a little locker or something, and then you gotta get pat down, you gotta go through the detectors, you gotta get sniffed by the dogs, and then you get buzzed into these doors and these rooms, and then you end up in this.
It's loud and it's clanky and, like, everything you see on TV, to put yourself there in real life. Like, I remember being like, it can't be as bad as I see it on TV. And then to go do it and realize it's 300 times worse and also so accurate, right? It's not like they do anything to embellish it for TV. It's just you don't get the same sensory. You don't get the same feeling. Like when those gigantic metal doors slam shut and bolt and you just hear the like chunk, 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 all the way down of them like bolting shut. Like that's actually terrifying and you can feel it in your whole body because that sound is all around you and your body absorbs it. And like it's not the same on TV. Like, and no, whenever you see on TV somebody gets strip searched or pat down, that is very much not the same. That is very not much not the same as going through, and it is not like going through TSA. I'll go through TSA all day, every day without having to do that. That's awful.
And it's making me think because, like, I've had to go into many county jails and some state prisons and things for my
easy peasy
for job, right? And it's like, I'm here to see so and so, like, and it is what it is. But it's so different when it's separating that professional from personal boundary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very different. And it's kind of made me think because there are times where I have been, in a county jail, like for work, and I've had just a slight unease for nothing that I could really figure out. And as we've been talking about this, I'm like, I think I understand now why I have that little pit in my stomach and why. Like it wasn't anything that prevented me from doing my job, but it was just this always on edge, just a little bit on edge. And it's like, why am I so weird about this? Why? Well, it's because I've had to navigate this in a completely different.
It scratches something that's been there forever for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is a very different type of situation. And, like, I guess to sort of lighten it up and put it back onto pop culture because that's what the world is comfortable with, right? Like I have watched a lot of the phone calls between mom and that Mackenzie Shrilla, right? I've watched a lot of phone calls. Some of them are very delusional and you're like, can you not? Some of them, I'm like, I've probably had conversations with my brother that outsiders looking in would be like, that's probably a little delusional. And you do something to be able to like continue to promote hope.
I was going to say you're preserving like the littlest tiny shred of hope that you can because when people lose hope, it's a scary space. It's a scary space.
It's where bad things happen. So
yeah.
I've been very critical of the phone calls that I've seen on YouTube and whatever of that particular case. I will stay very critical of it. Like I have not changed my opinions or my viewpoints in that entire situation. But also I'm like, if somebody clipped a snippet of a phone call between me and my brother, it's probably also a little bit delusional. Where it's like, why are they laughing about that? Why are they joking about that? Well, because you're there for a long time and she's there for a long, long time. And it's like, you have to do something and for yourself as well, right? It's not always just about preserving their hope. Some of it is about like, you can't always have the heaviest of heavy conversations every time you're talking. You have to be able to laugh at something. You have to be able to joke about something.
You have to be able to point out like even a minor positive, like, like, oh my God, they had like beef jerky in the vending machine. Like even that sounds so silly, but it's like they don't normally, like the only time where they get certain snacks and foods and things like that is when you visit and you're able to be in that little common area. and you're sitting and you can go over and
buy the vending machine.
Buy the vending machine.
That vending machine, can I just say, probably makes bank. It probably that vending machine in that room makes more money than you or I will ever see in our entire lives. And I say this
for sure. Absolutely.
My dad had told me at one point, he was like, bring at least $50 for the vending machine. And I was like, what? And he's like, trust me, bring at least $50 for the vending machine because he's going to want to eat this and this and this. Oh no. The amount of times we went to the vending machine. And because I had come from out of state, I got to stay for like 2 visiting sessions. Like, so basically all day, I think I was probably there for 6 hours. So over the span of 6 hours, I easily dumped $50 into this vending machine.
For sure.
On all the different snacks and things that he doesn't get to eat and won't get to have for a long time again. So that vending machine is making bank.
Absolutely.
I want to buy a vending machine and put it in a prison, and I will become a wealthy girl. And with
this is how we're gonna get rich fast. This is our. It's not gonna be professional careers. It's not gonna be content creation. It's gonna be vending machines. It's gonna
be vending machines in prisons.
In prison
specifically. Okay, well. That's a heavy one, but also like, you know, this is some of the stuff that we go through and we lose a lot. Like the families on the outside lose a lot. You lose a family member. You might lose multiple family members in that process, depending on how people navigate. You lose a lot of yourself to it. And it doesn't come without a lot of guilt and remorse, right? To where you're like, damn, should I, like you said, should I, would I, could I? And, you know, so I also am on a similar journey as you in the, what do I do? Do I know I should, but am I able? So we will navigate that world together.
And we're going to do it, and we're going to be gorgeous doing it.
And we're going to be gorgeous doing it.
Once I get rid of this, oh my God. Once I get rid of this sunburn on my face, like, oh my God, I look like Larry the Lobster from SpongeBob.
And with that, Larry the Lobster, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, because everybody deserves to have serious conversations.
All the friends.
And don't be afraid to be great.
Bye.
Toodles, toodles, bye.